but that we didn't cover very systematically. And I find these things to be a great help. And so I wanted to kind of go through this and fairly quickly, but sort of in an organized way, and put a perspective on these, different techniques and so on. So, as Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains in his Srila Prabhupada, hints at least, that when he says that chanting is a, cry like the child for its mother, ultimately chanting is really a call to Krishna. It's the soul's call to Krishna. And when we come to that point, in our life, that we're really calling out in that way. I'll read some more statements about that. Then that's chanting. Then we're chanting. Inattentiveness or other things, that's not exactly chanting. So, Burajana Prabhu and Sachinandana Maharaj and others have given different points that kind of help to bring us to that point. And these things may seem a little external, but they're very, very helpful. And by taking these into account, they help bring our mind back, when it wanders. And they also, it brings us, helps to bring us to this point that we want to come to of chanting with our heart. So this whole idea is what Maharaj calls alignment, or in other words, kind of bringing our whole self to Krishna, just lining everything up. And he also speaks of this as the kind of the four gates, and Burajana Prabhu speaks of this as four principles to attentive japa. So anyway, these kinds of things I wanted to cover. So in this alignment, there's different things that In other words, we're chanting the holy name. This is what our mouth is doing, but sometimes our mind isn't there. Sometimes the environment that we're in isn't there, and sometimes our heart isn't there. It can be. We talked about this before. We can be in all different places, right? Our mind can be one place, our heart can be a different place, and our mouth can be doing something different. So this can be a little schizophrenic and disjointing, and probably all of us have experienced that this isn't the most fulfilling japa. So this idea of alignment is to bring our physical self, our mental self, and ultimately our emotional and our heart, really fully to the chanting. So the basic ideas behind that, first the physical self, we talked about the environment, creating a sacred space, and we talked a fair amount about that, and the importance of having an environment that's free of disturbances. Also, if you chant in the same place every day, that place develops a Shakti of its own. Because you're chanting and your mind, I'm going to go here to chant, and you've had wonderful times here before. Krishna's appeared to you. Sometimes there's been some purification, the dark side of chanting. But you're undergoing this journey in this place. So if you chant in the same place, then it develops a certain Shakti, which reinforces your chanting. Like Vaikuntha said, it's something to look forward to every day. It's not that we just wait till Janmashtami, the big festival or the big kirtan, but actually we can look forward to chanting every day. So, and some people say that in other words, the environment might be good, but that's also dependent on the time. That same environment may only be good from 4 to 6. After that, when the kids wake up, it may not be a good place anymore. So there's time, and of course Srila Prabhupada encouraged us very much to chant in the morning. It's a powerful time for chanting. Trying to remember his name. One Maharaj summarized his advice for spiritual life in 7 words. How to make advancement in 7 words. Get up early and chant your rounds. So the morning Brahma Muhurta, it's a powerful time. We all have this experience that if you chant later in the day, the mind is more oscillating, more agitation. So anyway, these are basic points, but they're things to consider. Another part of our physical environment is a posture. And of course, in the Yoga Shastras, there's a lot about posture, sitting, cross-legged, and so on, brings the energy up, and so on. There's many statements like that. And Srila Prabhupada, on several occasions, did say, sit properly, more than once. And somebody was telling me that, was it Maharaj? He said Prabhupada instructed his brother how to sit properly. He said, I guess he was sitting, clutching his legs, and he said, no, don't sit like this, sit like this. And he sat up. So, just briefly, Srila Prabhupada did say that it's best if you can sit. We'll talk more about that because you don't become as distracted. So if you can sit in one place, all in all, Srila Prabhupada didn't stress this too much. He told Shrutakirti that, if you're tired, you can chant and walk and chant. And he said, I also do that. Shrutakirti said that he also sometimes was chanting when he took massage. So, but he's Srila Prabhupada. He never forgot Krishna. I don't know if we can necessarily take it like that. But the idea is that the posture, the sitting, aids our being able to concentrate. And again, if we take a little effort in that regard, we'll experience better concentration. And even if we don't, we're showing Krishna that we're trying, and he helps us. Of course, some of us are getting older and we can't sit like we could, so there's we have to make adjustments, of course, but this idea of sitting in a way that we can be attentive. The recommended, for those of you who are interested, the recommended yoga posture is that you sit with your sits bones just a little higher. This allows higher than the rest of your legs. This allows your back to be straight. If you take your arms like this, then your frame becomes erect, and you feel like your body's just a frame that and you just hang there, and you can actually sit like this. Also, you pull your chin in slightly so that your neck is erect, and if you find this proper balance like this was, this was done so that the yogis could sit in meditation for hours and hours and hours and never get tired, never, fall asleep and not ache and so on and so forth. We may not be so fortunate, admittedly, but the idea is these are well-known yogic principles, and they're worth consideration when we're trying to improve our japa. So I just wanted to put that in there as part of our, physical posture and aiding our attention. The other part of the physical another part of the physical thing is if we're sitting in one place, then we can fix our gaze. And at this point, I wanted to give you a little handout. This is the Maha Mantra, and I'm not giving you this because I think you need the words. I'm assuming that you all know the words. But this was, there's a technique called Trataka, which the yogis would sometimes use. They would stare at a candle flame. And just by staring at the candle flame, this would calm the mind. So it's well known that by fixing the gaze, it fixes the mind. So this technique is a Maha Mantra Trataka, that as you chant the mantra, you can look at each word. We can try this for a couple seconds together. Well, let's chant together. So as you say each word, just look at each word. Fix your gaze on each word. The idea is this isn't the ultimate in chanting, and it's not something you're going to necessarily use all the time, or you may not want to use it. But I believe it's a valuable technique. It has a history. I'll read to you something about the history of this. Actually, let me read that first, and you'll be encouraged to try it. Yeah. 500 years ago, Sri Birachandra Prabhu, the son of Lord Nityananda, performed Nam Brahma Seva, which means that he worshipped the 16 syllables of the Maha Mantra written in Bengali script and engraved in a black stone. This Nam Shila is still being worshipped in a small temple by the followers of Sri Birachandra Prabhu in the district of Puri, West Bengal. Siddha Bhagavan Das, a famous Gaudiya Vaishnava saint, worshipped only one deity, which is a large black stone, 1 foot by 2, with the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra engraved in Old Bengali script. Today, in his ashram in Kantanagara, the Nam Brahma Seva of that Shila continues with daily Abhishek, Archana, and Arati. So when I heard this, I came back from one Japa retreat, and I had Mother Akuti make this for me here. This is a Nam Shila. It's wood. So the idea, I remember in San Diego, the devotees, this was many years ago in the old, I don't know if you were there then, the old Balboa temple. And the devotees had there were some stairs, and the devotees had the idea of writing the mantra coming down the stairs. And Srila Prabhupada came there, and he was going to take a tour of the building, and he started to go up the stairs, and he stopped, and he said, I can't walk up these stairs. So the devotees, took the... So it's accepted that even the written form of this name is sacred, whether in Sanskrit or English or Bengali. Even the written name is sacred. So this isn't simply mechanical. That's the idea. This is mechanical. We're fixing the mind in that way, but it's not just mechanical, because the holy name is there. So let's chant. Let's chant together. Well, let's chant, as Mara says, in one voice. And just fix your eyes on each word as we say it. We'll say the name slowly, just a little bit. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Now let's go a little faster. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Bo. So when the restless mind wanders away, this is a good technique. Immediately fix the gaze on the holy name. Remember our posture. I notice that when my mind wanders away, and I bring it back, that my posture's slouched. Also, so you can bring your mind back to the posture, back to the name, like this, and keep on track. A little more on that in a second. So one other thing I wanted to mention as far as the physical thing, what we can do with our body is which helps bring us to Krishna, bring us to the chanting, is pronunciation. And Srila Prabhupada did say a fair amount about pronunciation, that we should move both lips, and he talked about not making a hissing sound and things like that, that we should pronounce carefully. Sometimes devotees who have been chanting for years, they do this exercise of having someone listen to their chanting, and they'll say, you're leaving out names, or things like this happen. So pronunciation and paying attention to that. Again, it's just mechanical. We can think, how am I chanting? What does it sound like? What is it? If somebody was standing out there listening to me chanting, what would it sound like? Would it be pretty to listen to? Would it be annoying? What would it be like? So we can pay attention to that. And I had one suggestion also, that the mantra, of course, in one sense, the Maha Mantra is a prayer. It's not really a mantra. It's a prayer. But but there is a meter to the mantra. It's Hare is short long, and Krishna is long short, and Rama is long short. So the meter is Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Like a little waltz. They're divisions of three. And what can help is if you put the names in groupings like that, then your mind also follows this meter, short long, long short, like this, and your pronunciation becomes clearer, and you can you don't lose words. If it's like 16 long words, if you leave one or two out, whatever, But when they're in groupings like this and there's a meter, then if anything is astray, you'll immediately notice because of the pattern. So I find this to be helpful. This is advice from Dravida Prabhu. So okay, so these are some thoughts on just bringing our physical this is summarizing this as one phase of bringing our physical self to the chanting. Speaking nicely, sitting correctly, where our gaze is going or not going. So then the next item of alignment. Anyway, the next item of alignment is the mind. So that's more of a challenge. That's why it's good to start with the physical things, because we can do that. We can do that. When it comes to controlling the mind, as Arjuna said, it's more difficult than controlling the raging wind. But Krishna said it's possible by practice and detachment. So there's some different ideas. Then so the idea is now we brought our physical existence, everything about. One more thing I wanted to say about physical is it also relates to what we do during the day. I don't know. Maybe this is also mental, but it's not that chanting is an isolated activity. And, we can do whatever else, like Prabhupada one time was joking, kind of for our benefit. He finished his chanting, and then he kind of tossed the bead bag and he said, "Now I can do any damn thing." Not that he would do that, but, that's the idea is I finished my rounds now, now I can enjoy. But, that will, the idea is that what we do during the day, especially I would say our relationships, with other devotees and avoiding offenses and cultivating nice relationships with devotees. These are very powerful parts of being able to chant good japa. So then the mind. So again, this idea, what we do during the day, lifestyle. This is, will help our mind. What we eat will help our mind. Yeah.
Can I say something about the physical?
Sure.
Just a moment.
Yeah.
Many years ago, my spiritual master asked me. I was struggling with the japa, and he said to tape my japa. And when I taped it, I found that one thing was that I was not chanting 108 in one round. I was skipping beats. And it was like 100 or 101. And I was like, I'm chanting very fast, but actually I was skipping the beats.
Uh-huh.
Another thing was that, like we found now when we were doing this exercise, that I was running over the Rama, but then if we tape our own japa, we can really find a lot of. I remember that was many years ago, but I heard it again after some months, and I could tell that what was actually I was not doing properly.
Mm-hmm.
So that was really helpful.
Yeah. Prabhu.
One thing is, on this, we don't have the 3 dots of the Krishna, because I think some people have trouble. The hissing noise is sometimes produced because they don't realize that it's Krishna. These R, S, and N are pronounced at the back of the palate.
Yeah.
And that's an important factor, I think.
Yeah.
And so even here, we don't have it, the dots.
Oh.
But those dots are not just decorations. They actually have Krishna. Some of the people start going, they don't know if there's been an S and a sh.
Okay.
And so leaving off these dots probably didn't help them.
Thank you for that. I'm sure it's not the only thing missing from my presentation.
But I mean, it just seems if you're going to add something to pronunciation.
This is a nice point. I was thinking to discuss this a little bit, but it's interesting when we say these words. You can think about this, that where the tongue, like all the Sanskrit letters are defined by how they're pronounced, where they are in the, like there's one S that's behind the teeth, there's one S that's on the top of the mouth. They're both S. There's a sh that's in the front, there's a sh that's in the back, that's guttural, like that. So if you think about the different syllables, and it's actually a very economical name. And this mantra is that the tongue moves very, very little, Krishna, and it's all within reach. So that's a nice point. Krish is back, like that. It's not Chris. Okay, yeah.
Just one thing with this is one of the two ways that I found that I can control my mind, at least for some time. And I liked it the mantra goes this way. I use the one in the BTG and it goes that way. This one's a lot easier than saying that.
Okay.
It's like it moves easier and it's, the other one's too broken up, even though it's so subtle. It just really makes a big difference to keep that nice flow and it rolls good.
That's nice. Just don't forget the 3 dots.
Where's the tongue with the 3 dots?
Krish, tell us. Pushkar?
Well, it's in the, you hit the top palate of your mouth, Krishna. That's all.
Krish.
Krishna.
It
doesn't go forward, your tongue. It doesn't like
Krish.
People who are hissing are not pronouncing Krishna. They're saying they're hissing.
The tongue hits the back
Their
of the...
tongue is hitting the back of the teeth instead of just staying back. Krishna, Krishna. In other words, you don't make the effort to move your tongue. You don't do that.
Krishna, Krishna.
Krishna, 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 Krishna.
So it's
Krishna.
hitting the upper cryo?
Because we're Western.
The tongue hits the back and the upper palate. Krish. Krish.
Hare probably has a god there too.
Huh?
Hare.
Hare.
Some people say Hare.
Yeah, it's not... Okay, another point. It's neither is it a rolled R like an Italian R. Hare. But it's also not hare. Of course, ultimately it's more about our consciousness than the pronunciation. Srila Prabhupada stressed that. We'll talk about that next week. That even the holy name can be chanted mentally, and Krishna is present or not, depending on our consciousness. But yeah, the Hare it's not Hare, it's Hare.
Almost like a D.
Almost, not a D either, but almost. It's in between there. It's not Hare either, yeah, Hare. Soft R. So, okay, so these are very practical points of bringing our attention. We had testimonial from Ranga, how it...
This is a miracle.
Yeah, very nice.
What's the miracle?
This technique of looking at the mantra to help control the mind. Okay, so now the mind. So we talked about lifestyle, how we live. That has a big effect on how we chant. We mentioned also something about prayer. We had these nice prayers. There are many prayers. Srila Prabhupada mentioned the prayers of Rupa Goswami, Namastakam, and he also mentioned the prayer, what is it? In 10th canto. I'll think of it. No, Nivrittatarashari Pagiyamahan. Bhavochanach Chotramano Viramat. Gunanavarat. Pumanavira Jeta Vinapashugnat. There's a nice prayer that describes the glories of the holy name. So he mentioned, anyway, the idea, there are many, many, many prayers that these are helpful for creating a mental environment by which we can chant. It helps bring our feelings there. We talked something about this, and it'll come up again. Now, what I wanted to spend a little time on is the idea that attentiveness is this is our work. This is really the work of japa, is to be attentive. Bhaktivinoda Thakur points out that all the offenses to the holy name come, the root cause of all of them is inattention, it's inattentiveness. So practically you could say that if we're not attentive on some level of hearing or something, that we're not really chanting. It's offensive chanting, and Krishna is not so much present, but or hardly present. But the endeavor to chant attentively, as Srila Prabhupada said, simply chant and hear, then that brings us from the stage of offensive chanting to the clearing stage. This is an amazing thing. This is within our power. Not that we can control our mind all the time, but we can try. And we can make the determination that I'm going to chant japa and I'm going to try to hear. Try to bring my mind to the chanting. So just that determination and that attempt alone brings us from the offensive stage of chanting to the clearing stage, or you could say to namabhas. So the idea of namabhas is that it's like the sun rising. Krishna's not fully present, but some rays are there. And I think we all have this experience that when we're absorbed in chanting and attentively chanting, we do feel Krishna's presence. I think that's probably why we're all here, is that we're still here, is that sometime or other we felt tangibly Krishna's presence, Krishna's help in some way. Not fully manifest, but in some way he's there. So this is namabhas. This is very, very much glorified by the acharyas, and we can come to this stage daily by just having the determination to hear, to chant with attention. Oops, where's my little sheet now? Okay. So there's a couple points in this. So in one sense, this is, I'd say this is like square one of chanting. There's many things we can talk about, but square one is the determination that I'm not going to let my mind wander. I'm gonna really try to bring my mind under control and hear. And if we can make that determination, and it requires a conscious determination that this is what I'm going to do, because the mind is just amazing. It can, we make the determination I'm going to hear, and then a few seconds later, it's gone. And in various ways. I mean, we can't, it has so many places to go. We can group them in categories of worries, anxieties. Maharaj explained it as, our cup is full. Our life cup is full, and we need to pour it out so that we can let our life story. Well, I'm like this, and this happened to me, and 10 years ago that happened, and I could never do that, and this is our life story, and our mind is full of our life story, so we can never empty out our cup and let it fill up with the holy name. So this is one way, and if it's not that, then it's some kind of anxiety. What about the bills? What about that? And this can occupy our. And then if everything's going great, then our mind contemplates sense gratification. How can I enjoy? Right? I'm not suffering acutely right now. So anyway, it's an amazing roller coaster, watching the mind do its thing. There's an interesting thing, though, I wanted to mention. There's one place where Srila Prabhupada says he says chanting is undertaken to cleanse the mind. The real disease is in the heart, but if the mind is cleansed, then it can't do any harm. So my conviction is that as we chant as we make this endeavor to chant with attention, it cleanses the mind, but it also develops something deep within the heart, so that the oscillations of the mind, we don't take them so seriously. They become, You've probably had this experience that sometimes, when you're in good consciousness, a thought will come to your mind and you'll think, that's ridiculous, and you throw it out. And when you're not in good consciousness and that same thought comes, you take it very seriously. You ever had that experience? Maybe I'm the only one. Oh no. So this is as you're saying, the determination to hear, it pays off, in that the mind still oscillates here and there, but we don't take it so seriously. We don't listen to it with folded hands. My dear mind, whatever you say, you're my best friend. So the idea is that when we make the determination, it's difficult, may seem impossible at first, but by the continued attempt, we get help from Krishna, as you were all testifying. So that's the idea. Is we need to begin with this sankalpa, this determination. I will hear, and the thing is, we don't. If you tell your mind, I have to hear all 16 rounds, immediately your mind will go, no way, right? So we give the mind. The mind is actually very simple. So we give it something very simple to do. Just hear one mantra. Don't worry about the rest. Just hear this one, because after all, our freedom only lies in this moment that we have right now. We don't have any freedom about the future, and the past is gone. Our only freedom is in this moment. So it's a continuous process of making the determination to just hear this one round. Just Srila Prabhupada was once told that philosophy, be here now. It was kind of a popular philosophy in the 60s or 70s, New Age. And he accepted. He said, yes, be here now in Krishna consciousness. Bhaktivinoda Thakur also gave the same advice. Forget the past that sleeps, nor in the future dwell. How's it going? Dream at all. But stick with times that are of thee, which is this moment, when I'm with the holy name. And progress, ye shall come. So that's the idea. We just bring ourselves into the moment and hear this one name. Don't worry about future names. They're all good. So this is very helpful for controlling the mind. But the mind still wanders away. So we shouldn't become overly disturbed. Sometimes devotees, are chanting, nicely, and the mind wanders away and become really angry. Oh, how could this happen? My mind. I was chanting so nicely, and then this awful thought. So yeah, right, and you see sometimes just Hare Krishna. Actually, it's not required. I was thinking, Giriraj Maharaj asked Srila Prabhupada, how should we hear when we're chanting? How should we hear? And his response was, just like I'm speaking. Right? Just like I'm speaking. Like I'm speaking and you're hearing. No one has to do this to, right, to hear me. You're just hearing. I think that sometimes, when I'm, thrashing about, trying to chant. Yes.
Sachinananda Swami was saying at the last Japa retreat that Bhakti Charu Maharaj had given him this advice. He said, hold your hand like this. And how long can you hold it? And not very long, So then he said, okay, now sit in a relaxed position and hold your hand. How long can you do it? For a very long time. And he said, so the same way when we chant the Maha Mantra, we need to be in a relaxed state of mind.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we won't be able to do it for very long. And it should be done with affection, so the combination.
Yeah. Yeah, very good. Very good. So that's the idea, is relax, Just, let the mind may do whatever, we don't pay it too much attention, and, just calm down, and hear. Then chanting, immediately chanting becomes much more pleasurable. Interestingly enough, Srila Prabhupada gave the same advice about kirtan. One devotee asked him, how should we chant kirtan? And he said, you should chant in such a way that you'll never become tired. And I dare say we probably haven't done that. I know myself, I haven't. And then can't chant for, a while. So the idea is that, to peacefully chant and hear. Let the mind relax. And, that's the mode of goodness. Yeah. Okay. So these are some ideas about the mind, and this determination that we need to have. What we're doing. To bring the mind back. Now, one other point I want to say in this is so when we're bringing the mind back, how are we bringing the mind back? So one way we're bringing it back is to simply hear. Srila Prabhupada was once asked, he mentioned this, that what do I do with my mind? And his response was, there's no question of the mind, simply chant and hear. So of course the mind is there, we can't hear without the mind. But the idea is that we can be absorbed in simply hearing the sound. Just like sometimes we stand before the deities and they're just so beautiful, you just forget everything else and you just gaze at them. You just absorb in gazing at the deities. There's nothing else going on. You're just gazing at the deities. So this is, of course, from that point, then feelings arise and prayer can arise. That's the next point. But the idea is that first of all, we want to have this absorption to just simply hear. Maharaj explained it nicely once, that once you're sitting nicely and you're chanting nicely, then that's going on. It's almost as if another person is doing it, and you can just take a step to the side, mentally, take a step to the side, and just listen. Just listen. I mentioned this before, just as if you were it was a dark night or something, and you were sitting and you were trying to hear hear something, and your whole attention goes into your ears. And it's a different kind of hearing than we normally do throughout the day. We're usually a lot more active in our hearing or not hearing. Or actually, probably a lot of the day we don't really hear that much. We already, draw conclusions based on what we know and so on and so forth, but we don't just absorb ourselves in the hearing of it. This is also very good for kirtan, to just hear. So the idea is that our process is we're continually bringing our mind back. We're not surprised, or sometimes we are, but or disturbed where the mind goes. But we just, okay, thank you, now come back. So we're sitting properly, pronouncing nicely, and then then hearing, absorbing ourselves in just the hearing. And this process where we're chanting on beads, this involves a sense of touch. We're involving the tongue in chanting and the ears in hearing. And these things control the mind. And we can also gaze on the holy name. So we're surrounding ourselves. to bring this, the point I'm making is this is just to bring us to the holy name. All of these things they're help they're help to us. They're things that we can draw on when our mind wanders. So then the next point. So this is all happening. I remember one devotee at a Japa retreat was pretty much the first part of the Japa retreat. These are the topics that would be covered, and one devotee was chanting like that, and their comment was, "Is this all? I'm hearing, and is that it? Is that?" So no, that's not it. But it's a good place to start. It's a really good place to start, and I would like to suggest that that's kind of our daily work. That's regardless of because we all know some days it's easy to control the mind, and some days it's just really hard. Stuff happens in our life, and it's just it's really tough. The mind, no matter how hard you try, you keep trying, but it just goes. But one other point on this is that it's the important thing is the attempt. So we don't if we're not 100% successful, as long as we're honestly trying, the attempt is a success. So we can comfort ourselves with that. So anyway, as we come back to this, then the next point is to then bring our feelings there, and my experience is that if you do these other things, it's actually it becomes pretty natural to bring the feelings there. Because now I'm here with Krishna, I'm hearing, so, okay, now what's going on? So it's very, very natural to pray, because there's like one, sometimes the question is asked that, we're supposed to develop love for Krishna by feeling separation. Srila Prabhupada has explained this many times, the Goswamis, Lord Chaitanya, this is our line. And the Krishna reveals himself through the holy name. So one might say, well, how can we feel separation from someone we don't know? Because apparently in this lifetime we've never met Krishna. But the fact is, as the expression is there, that there are no atheists in the foxholes. And anyway, different experiences that show the deep within us, the nature to call out to God is there. It's there in everyone. Prabhupada commented that even when they were up in the Sputnik, they were praying like that, wasn't it? Or no, that wasn't. I'm thinking of something different. Anyway, scratch that. So it really, anyway, it's our Nitya Siddha Krishna Prem Sadhya Kabunai Shravanadi Sudhichite Korayunai. It is our line. It's our nature to love Krishna, where it's there within us, and just bringing ourselves to this point, feelings naturally come out, and this praying with, what did you say? Chanting with affection, right? And Srila Prabhupada expressed this idea very early on with the phrase, calling out like a child for its mother. So this is the idea. This is bringing our heart there to calling out. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that, or we had those sheets this week. I want to have a little discussion on that. But these are some, meanings of the name. But as you no doubt see those meanings, they're actually all prayers. And sometimes people question that, well, if we're trying to chant and hear, how can we be also praying? Isn't that, isn't that artificial or something like that? We should just try to hear. But this, even chanting and hearing, this prayer really is the call of the heart. And it's very natural, and it is what we do. One nice example I've heard is that just like sometimes you wake up and you're in a particular mood, it's kind of a strange mood, and but nevertheless you have to work, you have to do whatever you have to do, but that mood is with you, no matter what happens, right? All day long you're in this mood. So you're not consciously thinking about it, but the mood is there. So this prayer is the natural mood of the soul. It's what we do. We call out to Krishna. When we come right down to our core existence, that's what we do. We may be angry with Krishna that day. We're working out our issues here in the material world, mostly trying to be enjoyers of the material world and not being happy that Krishna's not arranging for our enjoyment. But whatever it is, when we come down to it, it's our nature to pray. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur further said that if our chanting doesn't come to this point, it won't be successful. That our chanting is really a prayer, a call from the heart. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, by chanting the name while understanding its meaning and praying to Krishna with tears in the eyes, gradually by Krishna's mercy, the chanting will advance. If this method is not followed, it will take many lifetimes to reach perfection. So then, then he also says, this is also Bhaktivinoda Thakur, while chanting the name, you should continuously remember Krishna's spiritual characteristics and also explain the meaning of the name to your mind. In other words, please let me serve you. Or these prayers that we had from Gopal Guru Goswami. So, explaining to the mind, this is the meaning. While recollecting the meaning and form of the name, you should pray to Krishna with a piteous cry. Bhaktivinoda Thakur mentions this over and over again, this idea of just really, really calling out. So he says, this practice will attract the mercy of Krishna and lead you forward on the path of devotion. The repeated remembrance of the meaning of the holy name will gradually purify the heart of all material contamination. Then the name will appear in person before the spiritual eyes of the devotee. When the Swarup, personal form of the name, fully appears, it is identical with the blissful form of Lord Sri Krishna. The appearance of the Swarup of the name is the appearance of the Swarup of Lord Krishna. The more clearly and purely that name is visible, the more one's bhajan will proceed in the presence of Krishna's Swarup. At this stage, chanting the holy name, the three modes of nature quickly disappear, and Krishna's spiritual qualities appear in the heart of the devotee. While doing bhajan, if the devotee can seek happy union with the name, form, and qualities of the Lord, then by the grace of the Lord he will see the pastimes of Krishna within his heart. So this is, down the road, but he's giving practical guidance how to get there. That we don't just chant absent-mindedly, but we know that Krishna's in his name. Krishna is non-different from his name, Namachintamani Krishnas. Our goal in chanting is to revive our love for Krishna, and we're continuously calling out to Krishna. And this is described as Japa.
Where's that written?
This is Japa. Well, the first was from the. This is actually from Mahanidhi's book that I read, but the original quotes. One is from the Sri Chaitanya Shikshamrita, and the second quote is from Nambajan of Bhaktivinoda Thakur.
Both of those are all together.
They're in this book. Yeah. Yes.
Just a reference that the prayers you handed out last week are from the same Sri Chaitanya Shikshamrita by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. That's where he recommends that we should use this prayer.
Right.
So I looked it up in Nam Rahasya,
Uh-huh.
Swami's book,
Right.
and he prefaces it saying that these are from the excerpt.
Right. Good point.
Some people might question, where is this coming from?
Yeah.
Who is Gopal Guru Goswami?
Recommended by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So,
What's Mahanidhi Swami's book name?
what is it? The Art of Chanting Hare Krishna.
What page is that one?
150.
150?
Yeah. So these are the challenge came up last. I wanted to say one more thing, and then we'll see if there's some discussion. Challenge came up last week that maybe we haven't heard some of these things. Is this really what Srila Prabhupada would want us to do? So I hope you don't have any doubts that Srila Prabhupada wants us to chant purely and sincerely from the heart. Certainly I don't think any of these points, chanting with feeling, calling out like a child for its mother, being attentive to hearing, some practical points of chanting, these are, I think they're well within what Srila Prabhupada gave us. But I think these points have come out in this way because of the sincere attempt of devotees to really chant with attention, and because they tried sincerely in this way to progress and to realize Krishna through His holy name, and progress on that path. So much volumes of meaning are coming out of this. So just I wanted to. Oh, yeah, I've got one more point, and then I'm finished. Well, I hope we can have some discussion. So those are the 3 points we talked about. The physical, bring our physical, the environment, our posture, our pronunciation. Then we bring our mind there, the determination to hear. We bring the mind back, just attentive to the hearing, not being overly disturbed. So this isn't something, this is like a continuous process of chanting on, since we just keep doing this, But the idea is that by doing that, eventually we become absorbed, and not that we can do it, but Krishna helps us. Anyway, let me finish that. So then bringing the body, then the mind, and then the feelings, calling out to Krishna. We're bringing our whole being to Krishna in this way. Now the fourth gate is, these are the different, Maharaj describes this as these are the different gates which we can open. We can, try. This is within our power to try this. This is to bring ourselves, as I mentioned, from the offensive stage to the clearing stage. Now the fourth gate only opens from the inside. That's Krishna's gate. We can't make Krishna appear just like Narada Muni had that experience of, seeing the Lord and then trying to sit down and meditate, and I'll meditate again and he'll appear again. And finally Krishna said, no, not for a while. You have to become purified. So, but we should take heart that we've come so far in our journey through millions of lifetimes, through millions of births. We have the holy name and we're sitting at the altar. And Krishna's just on the other side of the doors. And he can, when he's pleased, he can open the doors. So this one other point in the chanting, which kind of, I guess, underlies everything, is Chunadapi Sanichena, Tororapi Sahishnina, Amanina Manadina Kirtaniya Sadahari. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains that we heard last week that you can practice humility. It's kind of an attempt. We know what humility is, and we can try to be humble. But actual humility, by Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains that by the repeated, consistent attempt to hear, we can develop genuine humility. Because the heart becomes opened, and we see that we're helpless. We're simply calling on Krishna and waiting for Krishna. And so this humility comes, and we also see all the stuff that's there. So I'm going to stop at this point. I wanted to I hope this is helpful. So I just kind of wanted to summarize this whole sort of worldview of chanting, the different aspects. And then next week we'll talk more about feeling and also chanting in the presence of great souls and some other things. Right? This is what I wanted to say today. So I'd like to see if there's some discussion.
Questions from the internet.
Oh, there. Yeah, okay.
Rasa Rasika Prabhu from Australia is asking, it's described that we should beat our minds morning and night with a slipper and stick. Can you explain this, please?
Yeah. I think it's... I can't be so bold as to say what Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati meant when he said this. I'm not on that level. But I guess my experience of this is that if we try to not give the mind, its awe and veneration that we often give it. We take the mind as an entity separate that supplies certain things. So the mind is not the object of our worship. That's the first point. There's a distinction, the detachment between myself and my mind. And the second point is if we make this endeavor to bring the mind back to the hearing, that's gently beating it. We're gently, it's not so harsh, it's very nice. The mind becomes, actually the consciousness becomes full of just so much stuff. But if you can just clear all that away, just repeatedly clear that out and bring the mind back to hearing, then that's the best way we can beat the mind. We're bringing it back to Krishna. It's not as severe as it sounds. It's actually very, very nice. Maybe there's a better explanation that just at my stage in practicing Krishna consciousness, that's how I would apply that statement.
Isn't it on one level all about delivering the mind? I mean, even the meaning of the word mantra.
Yeah.
Delivering the mind at the lotus feet of Krishna.
Yeah. Delivering the mind at the lotus feet of Krishna. Yeah. Thank you.
How do we know, or do we know, if the reason that we are not experiencing much of the taste is because of offenses, or Krishna's just, sometimes he hides so that our desire becomes more intense, or does it not matter? Because I heard that Rokishore Das Babaji would get so angry, he would say he was going to drown himself in the Ganga, and Krishna didn't appear in the form of his name. He was like, and then, but Maharaj said, we're not like to smash yours, we can't break open the doors of heaven.
Right.
So it's kind of an interesting, somebody, we're meditating, what does this mantra mean? And it gets thicker and thicker as far as when you start to really, because different acharyas have different levels of talking about the mantra, and so they become more and more intimate in different stages, right, of chanting.
Mm-hmm.
So is it enough to just, okay, we're hearing, we're not feeling, there's not there, we're wishing, we're hoping, it's not happening, but we're not anxious, we're all relaxed. I don't know, just asking.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever comes.
Yeah.
First, I don't want to answer it, but maybe add to her question. Is there, on one level, we have to depend and wait for Krishna to open that gate.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like the gate is, Krishna personally being present and feeling Krishna's direct presence.
Right.
But aren't there like preliminary stages of things that we feel? And maybe Mother Shiladisha was saying something earlier on in her realizations that when she's chanting japa, she's becoming more aware of more Krishna conscious in her day throughout. And there's like little smaller steps of realizing Krishna's presence in our lives that we do become aware of on the way to getting Krishna's personal darshan. It's not like there's nothing there and we're just waiting and waiting and the gate never opens.
Right. That's a nice point. It's sometimes compared to the sun rising. Right? The sun doesn't just go, shoop. It comes up gradually. So we do have experience of. I think we become first of all aware that Krishna is watching us. That's a pretty amazing awareness. Sometimes we think, well, that idea that I can go over here and do this because Krishna's not watching. So, that awareness comes. How to answer your question? It's a daily journey, and but I would say though that if we have these questions that, Krishna, am I struggling because I made some offense? We can ask him and go on chanting, and if there's something that you're doing wrong, he'll let you know. He does. He lets you know. And there's different things. I've known of devotees that did something not quite right, and then the next day their chanting is just really difficult, and expressing this, that, Krishna, why did you do this to me? It wasn't, and then, but the answer came that, well, if I let you just get away with it, you'd think there was nothing wrong.
So that was very personal.
Chanting is personal. I mean, Prabhupada wanted us to think of it as our time with Krishna. It is personal. He didn't, obviously we're not, I'm not seeing Krishna yet, but chanting is nevertheless personal.
So then we're accepting really a higher level of accountability, aren't we?
Yeah, very good. We're accepting a higher level of accountability. And I guess that's really what the like Maharaj said, we're not Vaikuntha crashers. In other words, it's not that I'm sitting nicely, I'm pronouncing nicely, I'm controlling my mind, and in this way that we'll get Krishna. It's not exactly like that. First of all, we can't even do a very good job of that. But even supposing we could, it's not that we really get Krishna by that in and of itself. But we're just showing Krishna that we're trying. And we're accepting the accountability that I'm not going to let my mind wander. This is my time to be with Krishna. I'm going to be here. I'm going to be here. It's kind of like growing up a bit, in our relationship, accepting. Maharaj made a really nice point about commitment. When you don't have a relationship with someone if there's no commitment. A relationship means there's a commitment. So we make a certain commitment to the holy name, and then Krishna reciprocates because we've committed. If we're not committed, today 8 rounds, tomorrow 4 rounds, then we're not showing Krishna that we're committed. So the idea is that
and there is that accountability because if in a relationship there is accountability because you've made that commitment and the partner is going, what you did yesterday, I have to tell you that really hurt me, that really bothered me. So we could actually be chanting, like you were saying, and something that we did and Krishna saying.
Anybody experience that?
Wasn't good. So we're willing, we're wanting that relationship enough to be open, to be vulnerable, not to have our hearts closed so we don't care whatever we do. We can feel this way or that way. We don't care.
It's no longer like Mahatma made the point, our japa. It's no longer just, my process that I'm doing alone. It's a relationship. And I believe that this is what Srila Prabhupada is and the acharyas are stressing, that we strive for even in the beginning of our chanting, is this awareness that we're in a relationship. And one other point, Krishna knows us. He's helping us. If we're trying, and that's also we're dealing with so much baggage, but we're also, we can just pray to Krishna. Prabhupada said that, we can pray while we're chanting. We can pray, Krishna, I'm trying, but I'm failing. Please help. That was one prayer Srila Prabhupada said that we could offer to the holy name. We're not, we're trying our best. That's our commitment. That's our accountability. We're not just whatever. But at the same time, we know that ultimately we're not really capable of doing it alone, and we're praying to Krishna to help us. And, if we spend every morning doing that, whether we suffer or feel great, it's good. It's good.
So many things going on. There's attentive chanting. Prabhupada says Krishna is not cheap. So it's not like we can expect to sit anywhere, do anything, and get the priceless gift. And also that because Krishna is his holy name, it's unlimited. So you're sitting chanting unlimited, realizations and prayers, and it's deeply therapeutic both for the mind and the heart and the spirit. And the fact that Krishna is the witness in the heart continuously. I mean, it's quite amazing. I was thinking about it today. It's like, why would you want to be here, Krishna? How not interesting is this? Why? It's just baffling to the mind, that Krishna's Supreme Lord is going to follow me around. I just can't get that at all.
Yeah, we don't even like what our mind tells us. This bigger. I'm sure Krishna's not enjoying it either.
And I was listening to Morijan, who said on tape that the mind's business is accept and reject, and when it accepts, and when it rejects, it really rejects. So if we're rejecting chanting or rejecting Krishna, it's very, we are sort of in a grip, with the mind grip, and it takes a power stronger kind of, that's in prayer, release me from the grips. They're fierce and relentless. And with the power of the name can actually do it, but that humility has to be there. Otherwise it's almost, it's kind of a contradiction of terms. Is if we have the power, then we don't really need to ask for it. It just sort of eradicates the whole concept of humility. So we have to have that humility and actually to become released. So there's so many things going on with Chad.
Yeah, it's great, isn't it? So that's. One point I wanted to interject. Sometimes devotees, there are many aspects of our service. Preaching is important. So many things are important, but really the chanting is the center that everything revolves around. Prabhupada said of all the orders of the spiritual master, the order to chant 16 rounds is the most important. And so many ways he's just reinforced this faith that really the holy name is everything. And as you said so nicely, from the name we get the strength to do service, the understanding how to do service, and you were Mother Sukha was saying last week, and so many wonderful realizations. So I just wanted to reinforce that reading is wonderful, preaching is wonderful, kirtan is wonderful, everything is wonderful, but the holy name is, our japa is really our essence. Okay, I'm sorry, go ahead, please.
The verse Tattenu Kampa, it keeps coming into my mind, because really it's someone who's prosecuting the devotional service, tolerating, all results of his past misdeeds.
Yeah.
Can't remember the whole translation.
Yeah.
Ultimately, his rightful claim is the kingdom of God. So, all the things that you're recommending, the sacred space, the posture, the pronunciation, the focus. It's like ultimately, if we do that in attention and with heart, ultimately Krishna comes.
Yeah, tate.
We just have to wait, right? We just have to...
Yeah, just be patient. Yeah, that's a nice point. Tate nakampa shushamikshubhana. Srila Prabhupada says this should be the guide of the devotees, nectar of devotion. And this means that the devotee goes on with devotional service, patiently tolerating the results of the past misdeeds. This is a very important point, that not blaming Krishna. That whatever's coming due to offense or due to karma, it's, that's my doing. Sushamiksamana Bunjatma Evatma Kritam. It's done by me. Somehow or other. I had an amazing story I heard. There's a devotee who was born within the Krishna consciousness movement and suffered a lot of abuse as a child. And had a lot of blame towards the authorities and even towards Krishna. And at one point, somehow or other, they got a glimpse of their past life and some horrible things they'd done in their past life. And then they just realized, this is a result of that. This was Krishna's special mercy on this soul. So Bunjana Evatmikritam. That's what I'm tolerating what was done. Like Mother Harinam was saying that, whether it's offense or whatever, I'm tolerating that, but I'm going on with my chanting, not blaming Krishna. And Hridvag Bapur Vir Vidadam Namaste. I'm worshipping Krishna with my heart, with my Hridvag, with my words, Bapur with my body, going on with my worship. So then, what's the last one? Jiveta Yomukti Pade Sadaimak. So for such a person, going back to God, it becomes their
inheritance.
Your inheritance must be. Daibak. Prabhupada explained it as it must be. You have to. No question of not getting it. Yeah. So, Hare Krishna. Well, it's 8 o'clock. So you're such a wonderful audience. Thank you so much. And please, okay.
Sorry.
We're not quite done.
I remembered when you were talking about this Krishna's personal, or the name appearing in a personal form. I remember just my friend actually shared it with me like some time ago. She's like my age, and she said one time she was really, really trying to chant very like attentively, and then she said like somehow like she was just so concentrated, and she just like had this kind of explosion in the heart, and she just saw Krishna, like Krishna just appeared, and I'm thinking it's just like, see, Krishna can be so merciful, he can appear even now, like I'm thinking, that if we just have faith, like we don't have to wait for it forever, like down the road.
Yeah. It's not like just be good and when you die you go to heaven.
Yeah. And it's interesting. I mean, right now she's not even in the moment anymore. Like Krishna appeared to her, and she's gone now. I mean, but she's still saying, Krishna's in the heart. But
yeah, she'll be back. Well, and she won't find that somewhere else. But and not only that, we'll see. I mean, that's wonderful. But Krishna's appearing in our lives all the time, at every moment in our day. If we just have the eyes to see, there's a nice. I don't know if you've ever seen this. There's this amazing. It's like a little video. I've seen it one time, and it's all these guys playing this game where they're wearing all black and white and they're bouncing this ball around. You ever seen that? And then, they're bouncing this ball, and, they show it to like a room of like 200 people. And the person says, okay, I want you to count and see how many times they pass the ball, right? And so you're doing that, and, and some 14, 12, like this, and then, and they go, nah, not very good, watch again. So all 200 people watch this again. And then, and then he says, okay, now don't try to count the ball, just sit back and look. They showed the same exact film, and while these guys are passing this ball around, this huge gorilla walks through, looks at the camera, and walks out, and,
A real gorilla?
Well, a guy in a gorilla suit. It's all staged. But it's like the most amazing thing, and our lives are a lot like that. We're so caught up in watching the ball bounce that we don't even notice Krishna. Krishna's doing so many things in our life. Just the fact that we can remember something, matta smritir jnanam apohanam cha, that's coming from Krishna. Krishna lets us remember it. We take that less and less for granted as the years roll by, too. Let me tell you. So it's nice when he appears in our heart, but he's appearing all the time. We just have to see. Yeah.
So in a sense, isn't that something that we can look forward to while we're waiting at the gate for
the
person to appear in our heart? We start becoming actually conscious of Krishna's presence in his impersonal and Paramatma feature in our heart.
Yeah.
also in his devotees.
Right. And in his devotees, yes. Yeah.
So many activities.
Jai. Harinam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Please accept my humble obeisances. Panchakalpa.